Robin Sharma's massive bestseller, The 5 a.m. Club. Now, when you pick up a book about personal optimization and morning routines, you probably expect it to kick off with, upbeat tips about drinking warm lemon water and doing some light sunrise stretching, right? Well, Sharma does something completely unexpected here. He hooks us right out of the gate with a surprisingly dark, high stakes premise that honestly reads way more like a psychological thriller than your typical self help guide. We are literally thrust into a matter of life and death, setting the stage for a pretty dramatic transformation. So let's uncover how this incredible story actually begins. Section 1. A Desperate Entrepreneur. Okay, let's dive into this. That quote is just chilling, isn't it? To understand how we get to such a dark place, you need to meet our first protagonist, the entrepreneur. Just a year prior to the start of our story, she was a celebrated titan in her industry. I mean, she steered a tech company that she literally founded in her college dorm room to absolute marketplace dominance. But her current reality? It is brutal. She's being blindsided. She's facing this mean-spirited, jealousy-fueled company coup that's massively diluting her ownership stake. The very company she poured her blood, sweat, and tears into building is being ripped away from her, and she's essentially being forced out to find a new job. For someone whose entire identity is tied up in her life's work, the cruelty of this is completely unbearable. It's so bad that she is actively contemplating taking her own life. She's staring at a gigantic bottle of sleeping pills, thinking it would just be a clean, fast way to escape all this betrayal and chaos. This is such a profound moment because it shows us that no matter how successful someone looks on the outside, no matter their wealth or status, internal suffering can push absolutely anyone to the absolute brink. But right before she makes this tragic final decision, something catches her eye. Sitting there on the stylish oak dresser in her all-white bedroom is a ticket. It's an admission pass to a personal optimization conference given to her by her mother. Now, normally, the entrepreneur would just laugh at this kind of thing. She genuinely thinks these events are just for the broken-winged, looking for easy answers from pseudo-gurus. But with literally no other options in sight, she makes a pivotal choice. She tells herself she'll either go to this seminar and experience a real breakthrough that'll save her life, or, well, she'll find her peace afterward. So she chooses to attend. Section 2. The Spellbinder's Philosophy. So the entrepreneur arrives at the conference, and we are introduced to the man leading it. He's an 80-year-old grandmaster of inspiration known only as the Spellbinder. Approaching the twilight of this fabled career, he totally commands the stage. He's in this precisely fitted charcoal gray suit with soft white pinstripes, moving carefully but gracefully. He projects this incredible aura of a sincere statesman. And he isn't just up there giving standard business advice either. He's blending insights meant to fortify the warrior within us with ideas that honor the soulful poet inside the heart. Now, I want you to really reflect on these 4 core mandates he delivers to a stadium of thousands. He's calling for people to reclaim their greatness in what he considers a fairly uncivilized world. He demands that his audience stop being cyber zombies, relentlessly glued to their screens. He urges them to drop the delusion that whoever accumulates the most wins and instead become givers. He pushes them to do heroic, original work that absolutely staggers the marketplace. And crucially, he insists they must fiercely protect their inner peace. Seriously, ask yourself, how many of these mandates are you currently practicing in your own life? And then, the Spellbinder drops this incredibly heavy, chilling observation on the crowd. Too many among us die at 30 and are buried at 80. Wow, it is a stark wake-up call warning against complacency. He points out that too many people end up living the exact same week a few thousand times and then mistakenly call it a life. They let their souls get smothered by stressful worries, endless responsibilities, and just trivial digital distractions, letting that incredible fire and wonder they had as children completely burn out. Section 3. The Cost of Greatness. But as you can imagine, not everyone in the crowd is entirely convinced this is actually doable. Suddenly, a man in a red baseball cap interrupts the Spellbinder right from the 5th row. He shouts out that, hey, well, all of this sounds really easy on stage. It's actually incredibly hard in reality. Now, you might expect the guru to be annoyed by this heckler, right? But instead, the Spellbinder enthusiastically agrees with him. He tells the man, look, if being amazing and developing a legendary life was easy, literally everyone would be doing it. The crucial point here is that society has sold us a massive mistruth, this idea that pleasure and a delicate, easy life are somehow preferable to hard work. But the guru's philosophy is quite the opposite. Hard is good. Real greatness is meant to be a difficult sport. The suffering you experience while materializing your special powers and pushing past your own limits, that is actually one of the largest sources of human satisfaction. If you truly want to be world-class, you have to realize that it begins exactly where your comfort zone ends. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the spellbinder actually proves his point using history. Look at these historical examples of unbelievable dedication. Charles Darwin studied barnacles, yes, literally barnacles, for 8 long years to help formulate his theory of evolution. 8 years! Stephen King was so thoroughly discouraged by rejections early on that he threw his manuscript for Carrie straight into the garbage. His wife actually had to retrieve it and wipe off the cigarette ashes. And Vincent van Gogh? He painted 900 paintings but saw zero celebrity in his lifetime. He was driven instead by this wise instinct to just unlock his creative power. True virtuosity demands incredible, almost unbelievable sacrifice. Building on these legends, the spellbinder passionately urges his audience to walk directly into the very things that scare them, the beliefs that disturb you, the projects that completely unnerve you. That is precisely where your largest opportunity lives. Leaning into that discomfort, he says, is exactly how you reclaim your forgotten power and get back that innocence you lost after childhood. Section 4. A shocking turn. So he has the audience completely in the palm of his hand. But right at the climax of this incredibly moving speech, the spellbinder suddenly starts to cough. It's mild at first, but then it becomes violent. The lights in the auditorium begin to flicker and dim. An assistant in a tight black dress and red high heels rushes up the metal staircase to help him, but it's too late. The aging grandmaster just crumples to the floor like a punch-drunk boxer. He lies completely still, his glasses knocked next to him, a tiny river of blood escaping from a cut on his head. It is a completely surreal, terrifying moment for the thousands of people watching. Section 5. The Bizarre Encounter. We shift scenes to the aftermath. The cavernous auditorium is slowly emptying out. The event staff is sweeping the floor, the audiovisual crew is noisily tearing down the stage, and this bizarrely soothing music is playing softly in the background. The shock of what just happened is hanging really heavy in the air. Sitting together in this emptying hall are 2 unlikely acquaintances who just met, the entrepreneur and the artist. And they honestly couldn't be more different. The entrepreneur is incredibly polished, wearing a designer skirt and a blouse with a floppy black bow tie, managing to keep her cynical, icy facade up despite her internal desperation. Beside her is the artist, a heavy man with dreadlocks, black combat boots, and arms completely covered in fascinating tattoos. He's there seeking to fuel his creativity, but he constantly battles his own self-sabotaging demons. So they're just sitting there together, nervously processing the surreal trauma of the guru's collapse. As they're whispering, wondering if the old-timer even survived the fall, a voice speaks up from a few rows behind them, and it is inappropriately loud. They turn around to see this scruffy, homeless man. He's a tangled mess of wild gray hair, wearing a completely tattered arrangement of terrifically stained clothing, with a jagged scar running along his forehead just above his right eye. He just gets up, shuffles right over to them, sits down, and casually asks if they think the guru has croaked. The artist tries to engage with him politely, but the entrepreneur's reaction? Cold as an ice cube in the Arctic. She's convinced this guy is just some street vagabond who wandered in. But then, this ragged stranger drops a massive bombshell. He looks at them and says, "I made my fortune thanks to the teachings of the spellbinder." His revolutionary insights on how to install a fiercely productive morning routine alone transformed the impact I've had on my marketplace. Well, the entrepreneur immediately leans over and whispers to the artist that this guy is a delusional crackpot and an absolute fake. And this brilliantly illustrates the bizarre twist of the scene, because while the entrepreneur is completely dismissing him as insane, the artist notices something incredible. Sticking out right from the frayed sleeve of the homeless man's stained shirt on his left wrist is a massive, diver-like luxury watch. It has a dial the color of a revolver, a red hour hand, and a wide black rubber strap. It is exactly the kind of timepiece a billionaire hedge fund manager wears. The entrepreneur discreetly eyes it and estimates the watch is worth an easy $100,000. No way a vagabond just happens to have that. Which leaves us with an absolutely fascinating, provocative question to wrap up this explainer. Is this ragged, wildly dressed stranger just a complete crackpot who maybe found a stolen watch? Or is he actually a secret billionaire, the ultimate living product of the spellbinder's mysterious 5 a.m. club teachings? I mean, what exact morning routine could possibly create that level of extreme wealth and freedom? It's such a brilliant cliffhanger that sets the stage for a bizarre adventure. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the text, and I hope this leaves you incredibly eager to discover exactly what happens when you truly own your morning.